Greetings.
Good morning, lads. What's going on? Good morning, good morning. Good morning, good morning, good morning. How's everybody's weekend? What ended up happening here overnight? What ended up happening here? Okay, snapped, cool. Traded back in, double top, cool. What do we got? Taking a week break, through my DTF last week, a week or two. Okay. What was the biggest takeaway from it? Obviously, that's painful. Or at least I shouldn't be assuming if it's painful or not. How are you handling it? And equally as important, what was the biggest takeaway? I think Trump's speaking in about 20 minutes. We have no red folder until tomorrow, though. Risk management and discipline. Okay. Okay. Oh, that's a violent move. That freedom model would have been gorgeous. I do think we're heading to these London lows. So cycling down, let's see if we get anything out of here to then hit it short for the 660s or so. Maybe we'll have to take this candle's high at 931. Wow. If I don't change, nothing will change how hard I try. Okay. Is it strategy or is it psychology?
Order submitted. Order submitted.
Trying a short here from the reaction from the midpoint of this zone. We very well could have to take this high, we'll see. But I like the reaction at least that's coming in so far. We should get a trade back down here, assuming this reaction continues. If not, then well, we'll find out pretty quick, won't we? A lot of sell pressure, which I like a lot. Obviously, really like how that closed bearish. We need to have some follow through now. I think we're good to at least 705. I don't really want it trading above this now, even though this could potentially be inducement and sweeping it out. We're going to find out pretty quick. Ultimately, we are looking far lower, and this ideally is a retracement. There was a nice manipulation here. We could stab back into this. I was expecting a little bit more of a violent reaction. We are getting a reaction, but we'll see what ends up happening. I think I'll be a break even now if it trades back up. Morning, Andrew. Nasty business. Nasty business. Had 10 points. Not what I was looking for. I'm looking for these London lows. And this could be the real move here, depending on what goes on. So here's our 5. Close strong. Cool. 15 minutes still forming. This could be a little bit sus. That made sense to me. We didn't get a reaction, so I'm sitting on my hands for right now, and this is fairly clear of what was going on. Oof. Oof, oof, oof. So we could take both. This is surprising. If our 5 closes above this and our 15 closes above this, then I don't think that eliminates this idea. I think that we're looking fairly high and then maybe coming down. We've already taken our daily high, so that's been achieved already, right? Bullish candle, strong spike, okay, right? So what I'm looking at is we failed here, this flipped, obviously that's a violent movement. We've already stabbed into this and mitigated. We should have a violent movement away once we flip back, which we did. So whether we take these highs and manipulate, or the manipulation is going to come in here, we'll find out. We'll find out. Either way, this is doing something irregular in terms of what my bias is, which is much lower. So waiting. Morning, Teagle. What's going on, buddy? And now we wait and see if this was manipulating above our 930 or not. And if we get a strong movement that does this, you might get something sideways, and we're still looking for that. Right, and the reason is because we're trying to determine whereabouts this is going to. This is our bias. So pretty much everything, like this could very well could be just mitigating this area where there was a ton of interest short, where I took a short. Obviously wasn't willing to hold through 20, 30 points of drawdown. Okay, so our 15 closed. That actually closed inside of this. 15 still did close strong. That's an oof. And what we're monitoring right now is a little bit more advanced, as in we're trying to determine if this creates an SNDR to snap lower. And I think if that does here, then we might get this. Otherwise, we need to wait for this in order to look short. Now, those of you guys that like to trade aggressive, maybe you've already took something in here based off of the 5 minute sweeping above, but we are technically still bullish. VIX underneath 16. I like the weakness a lot. It's trying to entice me in here. Right, bullish push, sweeping, a little bit of a stall. I think I'll wait for something a little bit more concrete. And only because this didn't sweep above like a bearish candle. If that would have swept this, I'd be a lot more interested in the fallout. Morning, Aisha. Right, if you are short, fine. But I think the concern right now is this is stabbing in and respecting this midpoint. And the midpoint of this push as well, technically. So enticing me, but just not good enough. Yeah, that 15 is a little ominous, isn't it? At least stabbing back up into here. I know. Three bullish candles having a hell of a time. Here's that high at 34s. Just having a rough time dropping. And I don't really think like what, this? Nah. It's almost a be dumb follow price long, but I'm not engaging. I want this London low. We're just pointing up right now. Trump news, yeah. Yep, he's chatting in about 9 minutes. It's OPEC's week as well. Usually, the best imbalances, I think, are ones where it's displaced through somewhere important, and it also aligns like with an area of like this imbalance. On the retest, you've got the midpoint of this as well on the inversion. You can look at different things, like say for example you're looking at this one that got obviously respected quite nicely. One of the reasons I got out. You're looking at multiple, so you get a bullish bar, bullish bar, bullish bar, strong displacement as well, right? So this ends up being a finalized objective potentially, versus something where you have, I mean, like this is displacement, right? But did it displace through anything? Not really. Not really. And you have a bullish candle and a bullish candle around it. Not really wild about those. ES is just falling on its face. NQ chopping around at the highs. Neither of which have been taken, right? So NQ, NQ, ES, ES. I think one of them gets swept. Definitely leaning more on the short side, but waiting for execution. You see our 5's not beautiful yet. 15. I think we're right in terms of bias, but haven't pulled the trigger since this. Morning, you seen? No, like we have strong seller pressure, displacement through like this midpoint, right? You see how there's a major gap here, and this is your midpoint at like 718. We like broke through that violently. We then expect to trade back into that imbalance, saying that price is delivered unfairly through here on this candle. We retest, usually you see a reaction. Here we go. Maybe. Nothing swept. What a bunch of pricks. Was hoping something got swept in here so I would have some failure in order to get involved. I really don't want to chase it all the way down here. I'm looking to see if we get a retest back up into 17 or 20s. Very strong. This is our CSD level as well. I don't like how that didn't break here. You've got internal movement, yes. We would expect to have some sort of reaction. If this reaction is a stall in here, then we get our sweep above, as this has achieved nothing other than running out these lows, unfortunately. I still want this London low. None of this has changed. It's not really wild about how we're delivering short so far. Nasty business. Beautiful, bro. That's awesome. Five strong, five is snapped as well. Like if we look at the flip, right? And you could argue the flip was just trading back up into here, and I think that's fair. 15 as well. Both have done the same, similar. Clean long. There goes your high. Now we wait and see. Not wild how there wasn't much. I think we would have to see, unless this is like catastrophic. We would need to see some sort of sell pressure come in, and then we run it. And I do still think we take this. I think that price is just telling us, at least right now, that at least after this, if that broke, then fine. Otherwise, we just get squeezed, and they did. Yeah, yeah. I liked that one here. I could understand it here. I just wanted that sweep. No bueno so far. Right? So, had this out just in case we had some sort of strong reaction. Oh, excuse me. And again, that sort of strong reaction when you're in bullish environments, I need to have some sort of sell pressure, and then we run out retail. Then we expect a strong movement. This is your safe entry. And away you go. Otherwise, you're just getting involved. You just get ran out on all these. Which is the reason that I held off on shorting that in the first place. Now you could argue as well, like if you're really looking higher and you've got this displacement down, this could be a decent long in the 20s for higher prices. I think that would have been valid. You got Trump news in about 15 seconds. Or at least he's speaking. God knows what kind of news he's got. All right, we've got Asia high and London high. And I think that this one is fair as well, given that we failed to CST on the 15. Or, sorry, was it the hourly I was talking about? Yeah, it was the hourly. This internal movement. Ideally, in a bearish trend, you get that snap and then you continue. Right? So this one actually did break and then and close underneath this. Same sort of idea. Retracement. Sell pressure. Attempt. Fail. Up we go. At least for right now. So, until proven otherwise, I think retracements to get long, we're looking for these. If there's a flip, then no bueno. Ooh. Right, as it stands right now, we would have to CSD all the way down here. So I think that's unlikely. We're likely looking for something in this. I would be very surprised if we ended up coming back down to the midpoint or below it. So like anywhere underneath here. This in fact barely even traded lower. We'll see what goes on. And whether we're able to get involved or not, we do expect this high to go because we need to create a new CSD. Usually we will do that with a high degree of certainty. Right, our new CSD level is now here. Still no displacement on the 5. Still no displacement on the 5. You could argue these little ones are being tapped into and yielding strong reactions. That's a good personality trait. The challenge becomes when we flip, right? So closure underneath here now. We want to determine if this is going to trade back into the prior zone and facilitate a pullback to then continue higher or not. Right, so stabbing into this order block. We'll see if this ends up going or not. Let's here's our flip into our structural zone.
Order submitted.
Very violently pushing down. Would be surprised if we didn't get a stab back up into here, but we'll see. New hourly candle, so there's a danger here in going long. But I'm holding to the expansionary price action. We'll see. So far, not a reaction to be had. We'll see. Here comes the trade back up. If we get this candle, or if we get some sort of very strong weak or very weak price action here, then no bueno. I would expect at least this high at 35. And we'll see if we continue on to these London highs or not. I still like lower, but we'll see what goes on here. Little weaker than I'd like after this strength. Good candle. Want to see the follow through. I think my stop's probably underneath here at 22s now. I don't think I want to go much further than that. New 5-minute candle just opened as well. Having a lot of trouble within the 30s. No particular reason for it here. So I do think we go a little bit higher at least, but we'll see. Okay, here comes judgment time. Got to create a valid low at minimum. Otherwise, I'm gone. There goes our stab back into the manipulation. "12 seconds. Do we manipulate and then drop? Or is this going to go run those highs?" Okay, really good strong push. Reoffer of 35s here. Wanted to blast through them, otherwise we're in trouble. Good. $41. See if we can get above this, and then CSD, which will be 45s. Morning, Solo. Yeah, I'm kind of looking at this like very, very weak response. Good. Right? Want to see what goes on in here. Adjusting back to VIX being so low. I would have expected a lot more explosive of a move after this. So we'll see. Okay, my stop's now 35. I don't want it trading underneath this candle, assuming we close above this one and we lift. But I need a closure above here. There goes our high, and I'm gonna take 20 points on this. Happy days. Did anybody grab that long? Do we at least understand why long there? I understand like bullish environment certainly on this retest of this, right? But this to me is waiting for CSD for a decision. This to me is just retesting back in. My entry could have been a lot better. I was not expecting low 20s with this here. And that's probably a mistake on my part. I think that I was more looking at the midpoint of this swing, structural zone. right? So liked here in the 20s. I mean, okay, London engulfed Asia, or didn't engulf Asia, but took Asia lows. So you have a very high degree chance that we're going to take London lows from a bias perspective. You've got your 15-minute time frame. We manipulated the higher time frame high and we displaced away. We then traded back in with a double top. So it stands to reason until we got this closure here. We actually flipped on the 15-minute as well. Right? Now the hourly ended up having a difficult time, obviously, as we saw, but for me, I don't really see anything in here I would have really liked long, even if it's inside of our origin area. Definitely would not have gone long here into the SNDR. Right? It just ended up being weak, fair enough. So once that started expanding, gone. I didn't like how this didn't sweep. That's why I didn't short in here for this movement. And that had to break in order to really facilitate that movement down. I do think we take this, whether it's this morning or the afternoon. Who knows? But now we've created a structural zone. We've got internal movement. We would expect second tap back in and lift. And in reality, I could still be in this for these highs. 64 and then 70s. $64 and then 70s. I'm actually not really wild about my patience level in there from an emotional standpoint. There were multiple times where I almost closed that out, even though narrative was correct. So I'm actually going to log it for the day, and we'll look at taking some trades, but not going to force anything on these PAs right now. Right? I think that I'm happy with my bias and everything, but yeah, not wild about that. So I'm going to lock it down with my the few K or whatever that it was. I think it was $450 or $500 per account or whatever. I think that this could have gotten my face melted off. So I'm really happy I took it off break even, obviously. Yeah, I do think we take London lows at some point, right? Now, price is telling us as well that we're not ready to go short yet. I didn't like it in here. My entry could have been a bit better in the 20s, right? That went to 705, so I guess 15 points, cool, but I wasn't looking for that. Even if this was a 20-point trade, I wouldn't have been looking for that. Because my bias is here, my target is there, my draw is there, and if we respect here and actually move away properly, and by properly I mean we get something like this that comes away off of the rebid, or reoffer, sorry, then I think this is the target rather than a small amount of points of a retracement nature. Yeah, I did the exact same, Matt. I did the exact same. I loved your short area. It wasn't enough to get me triggered in. I think the bias was correct. And I think the pivot was probably the better decision to make. As in, okay, short here, break even. Even shorting here and then, taking it off or something in here when we're not getting our follow through we want. Both of those are fine. We got our freedom manipulation. This actually went both ways. And then you get your drop, but that drop's got to achieve something. It's got to achieve something. And we don't necessarily know that it's not going to off of this candle, do we? Right? That's a beautiful bearish close underneath. But certainly after you get something like this, you're going, okay, well, that's not what I want. If you get that drop, what are you looking for? You're looking for something like this. You want something like that, where it's a tried to rally. That gives you confidence. We talked about this in backtesting yesterday. We gain confidence in trend when it attempts to reverse and it fails on its face. Right? Huge bearish move. Strength, 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 strength. So we retrace back down to where that came from. Boom. Right? Bullish movement. Weakness. Weakness. Boom. Away we go. Yeah. 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 No, I think this was fair, right? We're looking at this. We ended up sweeping it. It respected it. It wanted to tap into that imbalance. Okay, cool. Didn't catch the bottom of the move. Bank account does not care. Bank account does not care. And then you get our standard stuff. Right? Lethargic, lethargic, boom. That alone. That alone. Yeah, and then you look at this, exactly, right? And I'm not explaining it to you. You could probably give a seminar on it, right? You got a flag, cool. This is trading down to somewhere randomly, or is it trading down to somewhere structurally? The area where price makes decisions. First tap, didn't flip. Second tap, boom. So I should still be in this for 765 and then 773. I think you'll get a strong reaction out of one of these. Or it'll blast through them both at the same time, and then you'll likely get a strong reaction. We'll see. Is it a way to spot the difference between a lethargic move and a move for the high? So, yes and no. So, when we say lethargic movement, we're talking about lower time frame pullbacks, and you pair that with the direction of this on your intermediate time frame. So you got this low all the way up, and you're looking at this trend, and you've got your lethargic movement on a lower time frame, and you've got your lethargic movement on an intermediate time frame, right? And you get something like this. So you get this movement, which we continue to trade higher until we get what? Either a break of structure or a major flip. And by major flip, I don't mean this. We classify this as a retracement. It's got a flip to retrace. And this is where we avoid shorting in here for this, because you get your face melted off. Right? So we're looking at this being lethargic, and then if we get a strong snap under your intermediate time frame, which would be your 5 minute here, as it stands right now, that low, which is, I believe, this one, or this one rather. You know what? Why are we guessing? Right? So you got your 5. If we end up getting a 1 minute flip, which then well, that's actually a bullish candle. So as it stands right now, that would have to do this. Then that breaks the 5. You're likely going to get some sort of a strong movement for these lows. So is there a way to determine that this movement's going to take the high? Yes, but not necessarily by how this is moving. And as I said, I should still be in this, and that's my own mental game today. But my point is that we look at how it's reacting to specific structural areas. This was a major movement that shoved us down in the first place. If we're going to manipulate it and then we want displacement, then we trade back in because we don't know if this is going to push us up or down in here. But we do know that there's a ton of volume. It wasn't until this push ran it, in my opinion, right? This failure to go lower here that then broke that high. It wasn't until that happened that this low now puts in a higher time frame high. So that's not me looking at, is this lethargic or is this operating a specific way? It's how it's behaving inside of specific areas that are structural. Still looking 23,900. Okay. You get quite the manipulation move now. If we run that on like a 15 projections, I think you're certainly in the right ballpark. That makes sense to me. We green? Did everybody grab any longs? Give me 24K solo. Good. Good. Picks, Nisha, awesome. How was your ability to hold through it? Equally as important. Okay. Get rid of this, get rid of this, get rid of that. The flip idea still holds true. Taking London highs. Still have one runner, okay. When you guys are looking long and you've got a strong trend, for example, if you're looking at this bearish trend, if you had to categorize this, you've got drop, base, drop, base, drop, first, second. Now you're getting attempts to rally in here. Don't confuse them with structural or needing to be structural zones. You're looking at sustained buying pressure. This is almost, I don't know if it's discretionary. Would I consider it discretionary? I don't think that I would. I think that this, you could very easily just spot on the chart that it's sideways. This is not sideways. These are attempts to reverse. Attempts to reverse. Drop. Attempts to reverse. Now you get a double bottom. So basically from this second one, you're looking at it getting close to a reversal, right? And more importantly, you're looking at this so far not being lethargic. So if you're, say, short and you get this and then you get continuation, this is not a lethargic move. You expect it to continue. And now maybe you got measured moves, you've got different projections based off of this, whatever, that's going to facilitate a movement back down here. When you're looking at this, 1, right, 2, I wouldn't really classify this. This had potential, it did not. That went sideways. So 1, 2, 3, this will be 4. Right? Now, hopefully, for those of you guys that are still long, 767, 25. So this did actually manipulate. That's our current high. So we're getting another flip. This is a structural zone. If it breaks, now you got to break a structure. And hopefully you guys get some sort of a movement up to continue on. As it stands right now, we're expecting this flip to facilitate a movement back down into this zone and continue higher for you guys. Hopefully. But that's a valid assumption. What I don't like is how many attempts of reversing this trend there are. So when you're looking at this movement from an intermediate time frame, you're classifying it as lethargic versus something like, well, there you go. Lethargic or not? This doesn't mean that any retracements in this are going to rock it up, right? Or that we don't have key areas where we expect reversal from. That's why we do, or we have these highs on our chart. That shows you, right? We had a higher time frame high here, potential strong movement. We monitor that movement. If it's lethargic, we expect higher. This is no less strong than the higher time frame trend. If we classify it, the whole point is that it's going to drive higher. But what we're looking at is that we expect this to end in some sort of a reversal once we take key areas of interest. Whereas this, once it breaks, do we expect a reversal here or not? No. We don't. That doesn't mean it can't do this and then continue on. But we don't expect this to be death. Unless you have some sort of a structural area of interest in here, or it's a major volatile time, like say this drives at 9:30 and then you get that. Anyway, I digress. So old structural way of looking at it is like structural zone, trades back in, leaves. Structural zone, trades back in, leaves. Structural zone, trades back in, leaves. Old scalping methods, they yield 10 points or whatever. They're all doing fairly well today, which is awesome. And they do thrive in these environments. Where they don't thrive is when you have higher time frame pushes in one way or the other. And scalping typically does not work very well in that if you're a contrarian. If you trade with the trend and you're getting just an unload, well, you just sell the close of every bearish candle. Some are going to win, some are going to lose, but you expect the ones that are going to win to outnumber. $10.30. $10.30. Yikes. London highs, flip. It's got a break structure, and then you might get something like this. Decent confirmation idea, but we'll see what ends up happening on this 5-minute time frame. We green? Are we happy? Are we good? What's going on? Who's noticing different different stuff on the chart after watching the CSD video? Chop time could be creating an SNDR in here, right? We've taken this higher time frame high, beautiful. Now we're determining if we're going to sell off back down into an area of interest, or if we're going to run our higher time frame high, which is already manipulated. Right? You guys know what my higher time frame bias is. Unfortunately, we had to take the London high at least first. Yeah, I think they brute forced their way up. I don't want to, and the reason I logged off is because I don't want to be looking short. Okay, chop. Maybe it ends up running higher, then short and chop, and then chase, and who knows? Who knows? I do think these London lows go. I just don't want to be continually trying to fight a trend with my bias. You got a protected low here, and we flipped. We'll see. I think we have a poetic justice viewpoint as well. We take London highs, then London highs deliver to London lows. No? That's fair, I think. We have a lot of beautiful lows, yeah. This is a juicy pool of liquidity for sure. You got all these as well. Is ES still dropping? No. ES didn't sweep the lows either. Okay. I would still be staying in this short, too, I think. Looks like it might, well, at least so far, it might have worked out today. Shorting against bullish structure in fairness, but again, looking at the higher time frame movement. Climactic. Double top. Strong push away. Follow through now. We'll see what ends up happening in here. I think this is a valid spot for people to be going or taking profits or looking long. Midpoint of that engulfing candle. But again, I think higher time frame draw. London. Here we go. Here we go. Do we go, though? 5-minute low here, which is also a structural 1-minute low. Protected low. Kicking and screaming if it wants to run everybody out for Asia or not. Right? If you guys are short, you want to make sure you don't get a flip. Right? Or you're aggressively taking some off and leaving runners in case you do get cataclysm. If you're looking long, you're inside of a structural area. I would be a little cautious because of the location. Not that it can't do this, but yeah, it's not really my thing to be buying up that high unless there's an SNDR and a higher time frame high that hasn't been hit yet. Morning, Frank. Good morning and have a blessed day yourself, my bro. How do you learn patience? Like any habit. But it starts with massive energy and action internally. Because if you perceive patience as something that takes willpower, it's not going to last. Period. Right? So you have to decide first that you're done being impatient. Then change begins. From a strategic perspective, patience in your system is knowing exactly what your system is. If your system is, okay, I'm trading only from structural zones, I'm looking for strong reactions, maybe a flip, maybe a double bottom, whatever the entry model is. Maybe I need a 5-minute imbalance inside of a pocket, inside of whatever, and it's got to be at 10:25 in the morning. I don't know, right? But if that's your system, then this is my system, period. Anything else is irrelevant. But you got to know what that is. And then you've got to cultivate that outside of trading. But the key is that you've got to become someone who's patient first. And then you build the habit of being patient. Does that make sense? Or is that very confusing? Hey, yeah. Yeah. Neuroscience is amazing stuff. And all of a sudden you notice patterns. Hey, I trade this way, but I'm also like this in every other area of my life that I have the opportunity of being like this. That's why I don't trade on Mondays anymore. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, part of it is a self-fulfilling prophecy. Part of it's strategic as well. If you feel that Mondays suck, are Mondays going to suck or not? Right? However, if your strategy, specific days, right? Like, do you have reversals on Monday all the time? Yes or no? So if you trade a reversal strategy, and Monday is the manipulation day in a weekly program, Mondays are going to suck for you. And having that data is going, hey, you know what? Mondays are rough. And by the way, trading at 9:15 in the morning is rough for me too. So I don't do it anymore. Done. Right? Look at this. Is this lethargic or not? Yuck. Right? As Solo said, we're approaching a higher time frame high. One of the things that can do is lethargic movement, which is essentially a higher time frame range. Does this look familiar? It happened on a lower time frame here. Virtually the same thing. No trades for me. Can understand if it expands for you guys long. Violent movement one way, then the other way, right? We flipped, then we flipped. That's not good for me for longs, personally. I wouldn't have wanted this to close underneath there, right? But I think we test this low first before anything happens. And it sounds so stupid and simplistic. How do I learn patience? By being patient. Well, yeah, thanks. Who is this fool? Yeah, I don't know. I don't know about this long. My winning percentage days are Tuesday through Thursday, especially on news days. Yes. I think that's fair, too. If your weekly candle is going to end up bullish, let's say, and you have your standard day of Monday being manipulation bearish, which is likely going to be something like this. It can be like this, and then you get this. And you're kind of going, well, what the hell? Inside of that day. But then Tuesday and Wednesday end up, now that we've had Monday done its nonsense, and this movement is Tuesday, and then you get some sort of a Wednesday, maybe both ways. You can still hit longs on Wednesday, even though if it ends up being a doji candle. Because you're expecting it based off of Tuesday expansion. And then Thursday you get continuation where we want to put in like this movement up to this high. And then Friday ends up being your reversal. So what day are the best? Well, Tuesday especially, very, very clean. We know we're bullish on a higher time frame or an intermediate time frame or both. And then you're just taking longs and you get to have some stuff that looks like this. Right? So Tuesdays can usually be fairly clean. And for some reason, they're my favorite day of the week as well. Tuesdays and Thursdays. Over the course of my career, those are my best days as well. Wednesdays, unequivocally my worst. Unequivocally my worst. Right? But trading is as much a you versus you and a self-discovery game as it is anything else. Yes or yes? Right? I'm in a long on a sim account. Just testing out some new things without the risk. Okay. Major decision coming in, finally, at 740. Here it is. And we get to determine if we break structure or if we just sweep it and then rock it or not. Can you be impatient even if you know what to look for? I have Monday best and Thursday worst. Wild. Anybody hit this short? This would have been a little bit sus to hold through. Unequivocally, I can say that had I actually been trading this with the potential of getting my face melted off, this would have been the short, and I don't think I would have held through this. Even though I still do think we've got much higher to go, and we're determining right now if we're going to break this 5. This is going to be very, very upsetting that I wanted London lows since the open. And yet, here they come, and I'm not involved in the slightest. Trailed my stop. Good. Excellent. Yes, but what to look for is a strategy. Right? Right? So you have your hierarchy. This is number 1. That's number 2. This is number 3. Right? Down here is your strategy. In between is your state. And this is your story. Right? And there's little nuances we know in here. We'll get to this in a second, but if we're looking at this and we're going, okay, well, why was he short? Forget London lows as the draw. And look at this from raw price action. Why did I want shorts in here instead of this? This movement is lethargic. We then flipped here. And this is either going to do one of two things now. And by the way, after this is decision making here. Similar to this, we have to follow what price is telling us. Not necessarily what we want to happen. This very well could blast through here and then take Asia highs. We've just failed the 5-minute CST so far, even though we created a valid high. Which is going to be nasty for anybody who is long. It's also going to be nasty for those that were holding shorts from the area that we were talking about. We got our movement, and yet it may very well have failed that 5-minute, depending on what goes on in here. So lethargic, we're expecting this movement to retrace back down to a structural area of interest and then continue higher. We got that here. Then what needs to happen? We can't flip back, can we? Why? We've already mitigated this area off of this flip. We flipped down. We then flipped back. Now we're flipping down again. This right here at 10:40 told us this low was going to be touched. Not this one, not that one, not this one, that one, right there. That's your 5-minute low. Watch the CSD video. Right? This now became a retracement, double top, gone. Broke structure. Broke structure. Trading back into the S&DR area that was responsible for it. And now we figure out what's going on. So if you have a strategy, circling back, to close this loop before I need to get some coffee. If your strategy of being patient is, I don't know, sitting on your hands, only trading my system, right? Waiting for flips, right? How do we work on our strategy? Well, you learn more of your system. Cool. That makes sense. That makes a lot of sense. Man, my video is horrible today. I just looked. Right? Let's say you have the best strategy in the world. You know exactly what you're looking for. And the market provides beautiful setups. Beautiful setups. Right? You've got a 15-minute area of interest. It's a structural zone. It's responsible for an S&DR break that runs a high. Like, you've got a beautiful spot here. And price trades down and it flips and it goes. Who's missed this trade before? I have. I'm sure you guys have too. Right? So we're patient. And by the way, who's also taken other trades even though we know exactly what we're waiting for with our system? Why? Your state. If you go into the day and you're going in, I've got to make money today, or whatever other psychological thing is going on, and we're in a low energy state, you're not ready to be extremely patient and kill the market. As in, like, let's go, it's time. Right? But only time if my system comes in. Then this makes, this, you might as well be trading EMA lines. Which, by the way, I think is a good strategy, right? I think it takes discretion, but there's a reason it's the tried, tested, and true and everything, right? This does not guarantee success either. There is no guarantees. But you dramatically improve your ability to do whatever this is if you're in a very strong state. This is how we use our body. If you guys don't have a strategy for your state in the morning, you have no business trading the market. Period. That doesn't mean you have to come to the desk and be like, let's go, I'm gonna crush it. No. Your state might be a place of complete calm zen and whatever. That might work for you. That's the self-discovery portion. Right? The amount of people that, I mean, I'm nowhere near, like I'm no Patrick Wheeland or whomever that has 6,000 people watching, but calling price live in front of hundreds every day and being able to be like, you know what, I think it's going to trade down to here, and being wrong or whatever else. You've got to literally be in a specific state in order to be like, you know what, I think this, and the market just made me look like a moron. But guess what? I know I'm good, period. I know my analysis is good, period. Very, very easy for others to get into a fearful or anxious state by saying, you know what, I think this is going to happen. Maybe it does, maybe it doesn't. Trade like a lion, think like a monk. Self-promotion. No, I'm just kidding. But yeah, literally, a good way of putting it. Lions love to hunt, but you don't see them running all over the damn place. Right? So we got our state with our physiology and everything else that goes on. We're able to get us into that. But this determines these. Because this is the identity. This is where lasting change comes from. This is where everything comes from. And if your story is, I get close to a payout and I blow it. Or my story is, I don't deserve to make a ton of money in this market. Or my story is, I'm too old to really learn how to trade a fast-paced moving NASDAQ. Or my story is that I'm not going to earn as much as my father does. Right? Say those limiting beliefs. Watch how this changes. And then watch how this changes. How well do you think that's going to affect this? So change begins here. Patience begins here. Everything begins here. Thank you for coming to my TED Talk. I'm living vicariously through Matt shorting this, just so you're all aware. So we're all on the same page. We don't have to like how it delivers. The whole point of swing trading, essentially, and I think the majority of swing traders that you see that actually succeed, the Adam Mancinis and the market wizards, they trade level to level for a reason. They trade support and resistance for a reason. We use level to level and we pair that with price action. Right? Is this move trading up randomly? Is it going to stop here? Possibly, if it's a higher time frame move. Beautiful. I think that's a great idea. I don't like how stacked this is, but I think that longs and then longs. If I had to guess, I think capitulation is in order, but we've got to get underneath this 5-minute low. We got to flip that 5. Because right now we're inside of this 50-minute candle range. This might go higher, but honestly, I would not be long right now. Not to influence anybody who is. Hopefully, your trade works out and everybody makes money and we all sing kumbaya. But after this, I would not have been long. This retraces back up to the SNDR. That makes sense to us. Specifically, this candle. It did. It had a reaction. Doesn't have to be a beautiful reaction that we like. It respected the imbalance. Cool. But this to me is higher time frame draw. Need to break this 5. Once we break that 5, curtains. You got a new hourly coming out now. That's violent. We then failed the hourly CST the other way. Oh dear. Oh dear me. Just drop 50 points in the next 5 minutes so that I can grab a coffee and congratulate Matt on his banger. Anybody else short, or are you guys sitting watching this chop? You got an hour left. What if we close at noon here? Is that a conflict? Well, this would actually be over there, wouldn't it? Super dumb. I mean, this, let's say we get another move like this in 3 minutes. Right? Yeah, this is what is that? 757 to 720, right? So that's only 37 points. We got some stacked lows as well. Watching the chop, fair. This is where, by the way, on the patience perspective, this is where patience comes into play. Right? Let's say hypothetically you were short in here and your target is London lows, or your target was this, right? Well, your patience essentially, like let's say we were short on this candle, you might have gone break even and gotten stopped, fine. But that's a structural reason. If your stop ended up being the highs and you were short and your trade ended up looking something like, I don't know, this. That's a wild, that's only 10 points. Let's say we did something like that. Whatever. And we got this. Essentially what your patience is we're not just patient just because we want to be patient. There's something to be said for setting it and forgetting it. Right? Many people have profitable systems that way. That doesn't necessarily have to be yours, and I'm not advocating for it, but my point is that you've got a particular way of getting out, or you hit your target. And then ideally there'd be something in between. So let's say we get our movement here. Should we trade up to this level again? No. Right? Until we displace away from here of an intermediate time frame, this trade is still in danger until we break this low. We've now broken structure. So we expect this movement to retrace back in and then leave. So now your stop goes here. This very well could run this out. Who knows? But your patience is developed from seeing things play out while being in the trade in the first place. Because you need to have that emotional stimulus so that you can learn and adjust and adapt to it. You got to lift weights to build muscle. Mm-mm-mm-mm. 705.25 probably on deck. You might get a flip which sends you back up. We'll see. Again, I want that 5 to close underneath on the 5-minute time frame. We have not done that yet. You're a prick, you're a prick, you're a prick, you're a prick, you're a prick. Nasty if it does. Oh. We'll go till if this fails in the 5, then whatever. They can keep their day. They can keep it, and whoever's involved in the algorithm. Lower time frame flip into the SNDR. Come on, you got 50 seconds. Here comes the rebid. Should be the rebid in the 20s, low 20s. Come on. 30 seconds. Drop, baby, drop, baby, drop, 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 drop. Yes, yes. This is gonna make it hard to sit through if it does end up go. 4, 3, 2, 1. Oh, you. What a prick! It closed bearish, but man. Yeah. Tough decision to make. Tough decision to make. Still hasn't taken these. Don't like it at all. Don't like it at all. I'm going to go grab a coffee and run away. Green Day. Happy with that. Not happy with my emotional management, but that is what it is. And, yeah. All right. Yeah, we probably run above these. You've got all this. We failed at 5 twice. We've got a new hourly and 15-minute candle. We're sweeping underneath this twice. I think it's going to be Chop City. Maybe a PM session of this. We'll see whereabouts this ends up. Here's your AM session. Right, so we'll fight over that. I'm holding F it at break even. I will be checking in. Man, I hope that works out. I'll see you guys later. Bye 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 bye.